All right, well, let's see if we can work on this box here. So as I mentioned before, this was one of my attempts to make a planter box for a succulent, and my miters weren't that great, and I think one of the boards was a little bit shorter, so I just took it and cut it in half, and I'm just going to use it, make a little display stand, and somebody can put a little, knickknacks or whatever on top of them, or, raise up something on the back of somebody else's display. So what I'm going to do is just try to sand this a little bit, get some of the glue out. This really doesn't need a lot of work because, it was a box, and then it was just going to be two little stands. Everything's already put together, and I'll cut in some video on how I put these together. So we're going to rip an inch off all the way down. So make this 5 into a 4-inch. I'm going to set the fence here. And once I set the fence, I don't have to measure this board. I just use the same. Well, got to bring the blade up first. So I'm going to go ahead and cut. I think I'm only going to cut 2 because I don't need them all, right? I need to make a bottom somehow. So I already went ahead and put the 45 on here, and I rearranged my stop block and my spacers. So I got a spacer over here so it doesn't move, and then I got another one on this side. So I just want to put that right up against there. So I'm just going to cut 2 out of here, and then we'll see if we can get them to glue up. We'll flip it over, make the next cut. So I got my 4 pieces here that I'm going to use to make the box, and then we'll figure out the bottom, the bottom of the box afterwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some painter's tape, some blue tape. First I'm going to flip these over. Now I can already see that the miters aren't perfect, but they're not that bad either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble it, and then I'm going to sand it all and make the miters or the corners look a lot better. Or at least that's what I'm going to try to do. But I'm going to use tape. Tape's going to act as the clamp. I'm going to try to do the whole length of it. This probably isn't the best table to do this, but so we'll flatten that out, and then we'll flip it over. Since it's going to get folded up into the box, I want to try to minimize the glue squeeze out. So I'm going to put tape right up against all the edges here to help protect it from the glue when it does squeeze out. So I'm going to put glue on all the insides here. and these two ends. And then we're going to kind of roll it up, and we'll use the tape as a clamp. Alright, so we got the glue in there, so we're just going to go ahead and start folding it over. I'll see if I can turn it a little bit so you can watch what I'm doing here. Alright, so we're just going to fold it. 1, 2, and then we're going to bring this one up. Squeeze it all together and use this tape to square it up. And the tape is going to act like a clamp. I'm going to put a couple more pieces on to make it nice and tight. Let me get to the sander. Actually, I think I'm just going to hand sand because these were already S4S. I'm just trying to really get the glue out of the inside and then just clean it up a little bit. 220, 180. I think we can go with 180 to start here. Just kind of smoothing it out a little bit. I'm not going to bore you with all the sanding. So again, these are African mahogany and curly maple, and the same thing on both. So when I did the planter box video, and you know, the link is in the corner here or in the description, one of the two or both. It looks really, really good when I got it all sanded, put together, shined it up with the what did I put on? I put a sanding sealer on it and some polyacrylic, and then I buffed it with some feed and wax. It looked really, really good. So I'm hoping I can do the same with this and then just turn it into a little display stand, and we'll just use it around the house or give them away or something. Just something to do with this extra scrap wood. So let me get these two things touched up with the sand block here, and then we'll come back, maybe put a little sand sealer on it and some polyacrylic, or maybe just shellac it. I think I'm just going to put some shellac on it. I got one sanded up. I decided to go ahead and put a little bit of a round over on the top 4 edges. So I just use my handheld router, and let's see, 3/16 round over bit. So I just put a little bit of a round over, and I took it and sanded it. So now we're going to do the same thing to this one. I'm going to go ahead and do the round over, and then we'll finish sanding it, and then we'll get it shined up with some shellac and whatnot. It doesn't take much to give it that little bit of a round over. And we just gotta sand it up and make it shine. Alright, so like I said, I did the small, like 3/16 round over on all 4 corners here. And you can see the miters, which is another reason I decided to scrap this one and build another box. You can see they didn't tightly meet up, but they're nice and smooth now. And you can see kind of the glue here. But it's not going to look that bad as a just a riser or a display stand. You know, you're not even going to really see it that up close. But even at that, I don't think it looks real bad. So I got them all sanded down, did the round over. I took the tack cloth, the sticky cloth, and got all the dust off. Now we're ready to put some, I think I'm just going to shellac them. I got this can of shellac here. So I'm just going to brush this on. And I'm not using any super fancy brushes or anything like that. It's just a 1-inch. You know, you go to the big box store, they have good, better, best, you know, in brushes. This is like a better. Let me get this open. Look at that, shining right up. That African mahogany. And like I said, these aren't going to be sold or, you know, in any museum or anything. They're just going to be used at home, or we'll just give them away to somebody that might like them. And that maple shines up real good too. I really like the maple. I'm partial to the light woods, but you know, the dark woods are really good too. Especially this African mahogany here. That takes a good shine. Well, this shellac dries really quick, so make sure you keep moving. Get all your drips. Like if you're painting it on or brushing it on like this, I mean, you can go around and put one nice thick coat on it. With the spray shellac, I think it takes a little bit. I think you usually got to do like a couple of coats because it goes on kind of thin. Well, I'm not going to bore you with the rest of this. So we will come back when the shellac is on both of them and dry it up, and maybe put some feed and wax on it and buff it out. Alright, so here they are here. So I'm probably not going to put the feed and wax on. If I do, I don't need to put it in the video. I think you've seen me use it before. So it's just like beeswax, orange oil, and some other oil. You put it on, rub it in, let it sit for, I don't know, an hour maybe, and then buff it out. But that gives it a little bit of protection and a nice shine. The shellac kind of does the same thing. So we're just going to leave the shellac on. So that's what it looks like with the shellac. They're still a little bit tacky. Like I said, they're just going to be used in the house. So here's the African mahogany. Then you have the curly maple on the sides. And then I got it underneath as well. And these aren't perfect by any means. It all started with the mess up in making the planter box. And you've seen parts of that already. And you probably, hopefully, have watched the whole video of that. So the miters were a little off, and one of the pieces was a little short. So I decided to cut it in half and turn it into a couple of risers or display stands. And then they'll just be used in the house. So it's kind of like I guess you can call it a scrap wood project, right? Because that got messed up in making the box, so I threw it into a scrap pile, and I decided to make something out of it. So I put the 1/16 of an inch round over all 4 corners there, 4 sides. Just give it a little pizzazz, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know what else to say on it, but they're done. I'm going to let them dry a little bit more. I'll take them home, and we'll cut back in with them in use maybe. Or I'll put up a couple of pictures of them being used. So I guess that's it for today. The garage is, aka the shop, is kind of being cleaned out. So at least I got a little bit done. And then I'm going to get out of the way so my stepfather, Papa, can finish cleaning, and we'll have a little bit more space in here for the next video, hopefully. So make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment, and or just give me a smiley face or something, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.